Welcome back to Iron Suits, where strength wears the crown. I'm your host, Marwan Killu. If you're listening to this on Christmas Day, you probably noticed this episode isn't accidental. I wanted this one to land today because today feels different. The pace is slower, the noise drops, the distractions fade a bit. And for a lot of men who are usually switched on, driven, responsible for everything and everyone, this is one of the only days where there's actually space to notice things you normally outrun. Not in a dramatic way, just awareness. So instead of releasing this on a random weekday when you're half listening between calls or in the car, I wanted this to meet you on a day you're present. Because here's what I learned in myself and in the men that I work with. You can outrun discomfort with work almost every day of the year. But Christmas doesn't let you do that. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. There's one day a year you can't hide behind work. One day the calendar forces you to slow down. And for a lot of successful men, that silence is uncomfortable. Not because they're lazy, not because they're weak, but because the truth gets louder when the noise drops, when the noise stops. Can outrun discomfort with meetings, with travel, with deals, with responsibility. You can build an entire life where emotion becomes your identity, where being busy feels like being useful, where productivity becomes proof that everything is fine. But Christmas doesn't care how much momentum we've built. There's no adrenaline today, no urgency, no fires to put out, no emergencies that need your attention right now. The inbox is quiet, the clients aren't calling, the team isn't waiting on you. And when all that disappears, something shows up. A thing you've been moving too fast to feel. For high performance, it shows up more clearly. Because you're not distracted by survival. You've handled survival. You're beyond that. Your life works. But working and thriving isn't the same thing. Aren't the same thing even. And that's the part that gets uncomfortable. Because here's the part that no one really talks about. You don't fail because you're unmotivated. You struggled because you're used to winning everywhere else. You're respected, relied on, deferred to. Your opinion matters in rooms that count. Your decisions carry weight. People look to you for answers, for direction, for stability. And that makes it harder to admit that one area that hasn't kept up. Not failing, slipping. And Christmas has a way of exposing slippage. It usually happens in a quiet moment. You catch your reflection without looking for it, without preparing for it. And for half a second, you don't recognize the man looking back. Because when you slow down long enough to feel your body, the tightness, the fatigue, the softness that wasn't there before, The energy that used to be automatic, but now needs to be managed. The edge that isn't there anymore. That's not weakness. That's data. Money lies politely. It tells you everything is fine as long as it's flowing. Reputation lies socially. It reflects what people see, not what you feel. But your body doesn't lie. It reports accurately, consistently, without agenda. And the problem isn't that men don't know this. The problem is they don't want the report. They want reassurance. They want to hear it's normal, that it's age, that everyone feels this way, that it's just a phase that'll pass on its own. They want permission not to deal with it yet. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Standards don't disappear in chaos. They erode in comfort. You don't lose your age in a single decision. You don't wake up one day completely off track. You trade it in slowly. One small, I've earned this, at a time. More rest. More indulgence. More exceptions. Less demand. Lower expectations disguised as balance. Skipping the workout because you're tired. Ordering in because cooking feels like too much effort. Staying up late because you deserve to unwind. Having another drink because it's been a long week. And each one makes sense in isolation. Each one is justified. But they compound. And the dangerous part, from the outside, it still looks like success. The lifestyle is good. The family is provided for. The business is running. The calendar's full. The bank account is healthy. No one questions you. And if you have kids, they don't see your calendar. They see how you move. But internally, something feels off. You're not at your worst, but you're not at your best either. You're not at your standards. And if you're honest, you know the difference. I've been there, successful on paper, respected by others, comfortable in most areas, and quietly irritated by the version of myself I was tolerating. Not ashamed, just aware that I was accepting a lower version of myself than I knew I was capable of. That I was making exceptions I wouldn't have made 5 years earlier. That I was reasoning my way into mediocrity with very intelligent justifications. And awareness is dangerous, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. You can't ignore it. You can rationalize it. You can delay dealing with it. But you can't unknow it. And that's where most men are today. Aware of the gap, uncertain about closing it, hoping it resolves itself. But gaps don't close themselves. They widen quietly until something forces your hand. An injury, a health scare, a photo you can't ignore, a comment that lands wrong but hits true. Or, if you're smart, a moment like this one, where there's no crisis, no emergency, just clarity. This isn't about guilt. I'm not here to shame anyone into action. Shame doesn't build anything lasting. And it's definitely not about January motivation. The new year, new you energy that burns bright for 3 weeks and fades by February. This is about standards. About the version of yourself you're willing to tolerate when no one is watching. When no one is impressed. Where there's no applause. When it's just you and the truth. Elite men don't wait for chaos to sharpen them. They don't need the crisis to care. They decide who they are, even when nothing is demanding it. Even when life is uncomfortable. Even when no one would blame them for coasting. Even when they've already made it by most definitions. Because they understand something most people don't. The standards you keep in private determine the results you get in public. You can fake competence for a while, but you can't fake capacity. And when the next level of demand shows up, and it will, you'll either be ready or you'll be scrambling. So if this feels uncomfortable today, good. Christmas isn't here to hype you up. It's not here to make you feel better about where you are. It's here to show you the gap between who you are and who you're capable of being. Because standards you set and the standards you're keeping, between the standards that you set and the standards you're keeping, between the intentions you talk about and the actions you're taking. Discomfort is just the nervous system realizing the standard has shifted. And what you do with that gap, whether you acknowledge it or ignore it, whether you close it or widen it, whether you decide today or delay again, determines the version of you that shows up next year in 2026. Not the version you hope to be, the version you build. So here's my question to you. Not as motivation, as inventory. If you kept moving at this exact pace, same habits, same exceptions, same standards, where would you be next Christmas? Not where you hope to be. Where the trajectory puts you. Because hope without structure is just wishing. And you're too experienced to rely on wishing. You know how this works. Small decisions compound. Standards slip quietly. And one day you look up and realize you've been coasting longer than you thought. Or you decide today is the day the gap starts closing. Not perfectly, not with some massive overhaul, but with clarity. With the decision that you're done tolerating a version of yourself that isn't at your standards. That's a shift. And it happens internally before it shows up externally. I'll leave it there. Enjoy your day. Be present with people who matter. And if this landed, you already know why. Nothing to do today. Just noticed what you've been tolerating. Have a great Christmas. Talk to you later.